This week on the podcast, we're going to talk about some unlikely financial wisdom from Charles Barkley, Shaq, Mike Tyson, Snooki, Lindsay Lohan, and we'll see what else we can get into this week here on Red Zone Retirement Program with Coach John Mears.
In football, the red zone is where a team has to make small adjustments to ensure victory. As you approach retirement, you also need to make small adjustments to ensure success. This is the Red Zone Retirement Program with registered investment advisor and enrolled agent John Mears of Mears Money Management.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with Coach and I as we talk investing, finance, and retirement. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Busy. We're right in the middle of football season, and that's why my voice is scratchy. So if I tell you and the viewers start doing up, downs, or hit the sled, that's the mode I'm in right now. But I'm also in the middle of doing my fall reviews with everybody. So we're extremely busy life for me right now.
A little busy,
but happy to do this podcast because I really enjoy doing these, and got a lot of hopefully some ideas that will help people out there.
Yeah, I always love talking with you. We have a good time, and hopefully we educate a little bit and entertain a little bit. That's the goal. And we're on opposite sides of the country, as we've talked about before. You're in California, which is completely different than my neck of the woods, and of course my neck of the woods right now is underwater, or has been, with all the hurricane stuff. So all the best to folks out there, and if you can provide support and aid, they certainly need it. Please, 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 and please. But let's have a little levity this week, since there is so much craziness going on in the world, and it is October as we are rolling into what's probably going to be a very interesting fourth quarter. We'll just leave it at that, right?
Yeah, that's a good soft way to put it. Exactly. When we record this next, we may have a whole different subject to discuss.
Maybe. Yeah. But for this week, we're going to have a little silly, cheesy fun.
Yes,
so I want you to give us some financial spin on unlikely quotes from some folks out there that the names might recognize. And just kind of, give us like a financial spin. They didn't mean these to be financial wisdom, but I think with a little bit of clever conversation, we can do that. So Lindsay Lohan, actress from the late 90s as a teen, then got into, in the early 2000s, got into a lot of personal trouble. One of those volatile, kid actors who winds up going through, the mill, right?
Yes.
So she says, "I'm my own worst enemy, and I know that." Now, kudos to her, because that's a challenge for most people, figuring out that you're your own worst enemy. And that one's not going to be too hard for you, Coach. So I kind of gave you a little bit of a layup here, different sport for you.
Yes.
But I kind of gave you a little bit of a layup because, look, when it comes to financial stuff, a lot of times most of us are our own worst enemies.
Yeah, and that's something that even when I'm onboarding people, new clients, that's one of the things I try and dig into is how they feel about their own situation. If they feel they got it, I actually appreciate that and say, okay, you're going to be, I'll try and provide as much value as I can, but you'll be okay on your own. I need people basically to come out and, take their hat off and go, please help me. I realize where the problem is at. Right. Once that happens, then we can actually start assisting people and helping them. The issues that people go through when they're their own worst enemies, this is going to sound kind of crazy here. People have a knack for trying to do the worst thing at the worst possible time because emotions are what drives a lot of people and a lot of their decision making. So
no, we don't do that as humans, do we?
So once you recognize that, though, it's so much easier, I think, to delegate to the advisor, whether it me or another advisor.
Sure.
But once you realize that, you can delegate, let them handle it. I still have people that try and delegate, but then they're trying to claw back a little bit of that control. And it's their money, so you have to kind of work with that. But once you recognize that so Lindsay Lohan here, just knowing that, just coming out and verbalizing that is kind of what I'm looking for with my client base, where they say, hey, I realize that I can't do this on my own, and I sure could use help, and we're always happy to provide that.
Yeah, I mean, that's half the battle right there, right? Like if you're dealing with any kind of addiction, if you're dealing with any kind of bad habit, trying to lose weight, let's say, and Oreos are your weakness, right? You can say, hey, I know I'm my own worst enemy, and I know that. That's half the battle right there. So good stuff, Coach. Good job on that. All right, let's go with Snooki. If you're not familiar with the Snooki, the Snookster, She's one of those folks on the reality show, The Jersey Shore, that's been on forever and a day, and is someone who lived in Jersey and has family in Jersey. Juice. But anyway, but to her credit, she says, I don't need validation from anybody. I know my worth. That's got to be a pretty valuable asset, I think, too, when you're thinking about your financial situation. Yeah?
Absolutely. I think there is a couple things here that we can take from this. First of all, we'll start with the idea of not having to outdo the neighbors, and then I'll segue this into another part of it. So a lot of times people, because they don't know their self-worth, or they aren't very confident in themselves, they're trying to keep up with the neighbors because they want to have, and sometimes it's not just the nicest car. Sometimes it's something you got to have in the kitchen. It's clothes. It's, hey, what trip it is, whatever. They're trying to keep up. And I think that can derail a financial plan very quickly. Nothing wrong with having nice stuff. Don't get me wrong. But it should be for your reasons, not because Barbara down the street has something.
Now, being comfortable with who you are and what you got, right?
Correct. Okay. I think that's important. Now, I can't get over that. I can't help people get much further than that, except for one little thing that I can do, and that is to educate. So one of the things that we want to do with people that aren't so sure of themselves and their financial existence is I do make sure that these podcasts, for example, we want to educate people and let them know why they're investing, what they have, and why they have it. I always tell people, you want to know what you have and why you have it, and then you want to have that plan. And the more we can educate, and I throw a lot at people. I throw a lot of content. I throw a lot of information at people. Not all of it sticks, but we keep doing it over and over and over, quarter after quarter, year after year. And I would say out of my client base compared to other advisors, I'm pretty confident my clients do know what is going on in their financial plan, what they have, why they, what the future goals and are where we're trying to head towards. Right. I think that really helps. It helps to make the decisions and not make these short-term decisions.
Yeah, I would agree with you, right? I mean, we got to get a little bit comfortable. And I think one of the beauties of aging and wisdom is that hopefully we start to kind of get there. I think we're all fairly bad at that in our 20s and 30s and even 40s, right? Where we're kind of like, let me kind of keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. But I think as we start to age, we go, I don't care anymore. At least hopefully anyway, right?
Yeah. We're more likely to speak our mind. Yeah, exactly.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's turn our attention to, now that was kind of like the, I guess the acting or the reality or the TV world or whatever. Let's turn our attention to the sports side of things, given that you are a sports guy. I'm a sports guy. We got to go with Chuck. Got to go with the Chuckster, yes. Charles Barkley. Never short of quotes, for sure. Him. So Chuck says, I don't create controversies. They're there long before I ever open my mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is something that when people come in to see us for the first time, they will have their issues already. So we're not creating them, but we will speak our mind when we see them, and that is part of the job, I believe, of the advisor as well. Is that when we see something, we're not going to sugarcoat it. I tend to be fairly direct, which sometimes gets me in a little bit of hot water. I've had clients I have had them get offended here and there because I kind of point something out, and they may have already been ingrained in their head. This is how it's supposed to be. But, if we see something, so one thing I like about Charles Barkley, he'll come right out. If a player had a bad game, you don't care how famous he is, he'll tell him, this guy played terribly today.
And especially if that player winds up saying that it was some other outside factor, he'll be like, look, just own it. You stunk tonight. It happens. Yeah. You're human,
Correct. We all make mistakes, even yours truly. I know that's hard for you guys to believe, but yeah, it's we all make mistakes. You have to own them. And so when people come in, and one of the things that we're trying to do through the discovery process is find out perhaps not even just areas that you probably know you have not excelled in, but find other areas that we can unearth that maybe we can improve upon as well. So.
Yeah. I think when you're thinking about, whatever controversy might be in your life, like there's always something, right? So when you're thinking about your financial situation, like I'm going through some stuff personally right this minute where it's like, well, this is a really terrible time to do that, right? And I think we all kind of do that. And then you go, but is it ever not a rough time for something, right? It seems like there's always something, you could always say, well, let me do this when it's a better time. Let me work on my financial strategy when things are less crazy. Well, when are they ever less crazy?
Correct.
Right? So Just do it.
I always tell players that when I'm coaching football is, the best time to start getting better is today. I mean, that's when you really start working on stuff. And so, when people do it, we all are great at excuses. Let's wait till next week to start the diet. Let's start to, I'll do whatever, we're always willing to procrastinate and wait. And I'm going to be the coach here. All we're trying to do in football is incremental improvements each day. We're just trying to get better. I know that sounds corny. Those of you who don't follow sports may not even care about that. But we just are trying every day to get a little bit better. And the same thing about your finances. You're not probably going to overhaul your finances after meeting with me 2 times and have, sunshine and rainbows. It's something that's going to take a while. In fact, when we're onboarding, we give people a full 1-year schedule about all the crap.
There you go.
To get there. It just takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience. And, because most people have several, and not every area is completely haywire. Some areas just need a little bit of improvement, and we're trying to improve everything to get to where we need to be.
I like that. Little incremental improvements is good. All right, let's go to somebody who will certainly punch you in the mouth, literally. And that's Mike Tyson, right? So his famous quote, everyone knows this one, I think. Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth, right? This was attributed to him, guys saying, hey, I figured out how to beat Tyson. And he's like, yeah, everyone thinks that, until I sock him in the jaw and then and then they get a rude awakening. And that kind of goes a little bit to what we were just talking about. It's like, you may think you have a plan, but life's going to come along and go, oh, no. Mm-hmm. Let me show you this now, right?
Yes. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes, by the way. I just love this because
I'm sure
obviously Mike Tyson's talking about it in a more physical, menacing way. But the idea is that...
And he probably was.
No doubt he was. He was one of my favorite fighters to watch. Just, in my opinion, the best I ever saw. But anyway, the idea is that stuff happens. We use a stronger word for it, but stuff happens all the time in life. There could be health issues. There could be financial issues. There could be family and relationship issues. Stuff happens all the time. Yeah. Again, I was talking to a client just last week about their financial plan, and I kind of explained to them, this is organic. This is not where Moses is coming down from the mountain with a tablet that's etched in stone. Right. We are going to do the best what we can with a plan, but this is why we meet oftentimes. We meet with our clients at least twice a year. There's always going to be communication in between, but we're constantly looking over how things may be changed and improved, because no matter how much you think you got it, things are going to change. The things you have no control, you can't even foresee a year from now, let alone 3, 5, 10 years from now. So we start with a base plan here, but it's always going to be worked on. And that's why I always tell people, you got a plan, just wait till something happens. And, and it doesn't have to be something devastating, but something that's always going to change that. But I love this quote. That's why we always have to be prepared when I do my dynamic distributions. When the market, I always tell people, not if the market goes down, but when the market goes down, we need to have a plan for how we're going to handle that. And we do. We give you in black and white. We tell you exactly what we're going to do. So everybody's got a plan until
they get
the markets do something. So
until the market punch you in the mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just for my 2 cents, I'm going Ali. Sorry, you just
he was so quick on his feet. I get that. Tyson was he was a little shorter than Muhammad Ali.
A lot.
And he just had a way of fighting that was so compact and powerful.
Oh, for sure.
Muhammad Ali was more of a thinker. But boy, both. It would have been great to see them.
Well, Tyson's favorite fighter was Ali, so that works for me too. So, let us know who your favorite was in the comments, and don't forget, of course, if you need some help, reach out to John and Coach here when it comes to the financial side. Not so much for the quotes.
Fighting. We'll talk about fighting too. We'll teach you how to fight.
Okay, all right. So you know what? So with that said, talking about everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Let's go. Let's finish off with Shaq. Shaq's got some pretty good quotes too, and of course, a fellow set mate of Chuck on the NBA Tonight type show. He says, "I never worry about the problem. I worry about the solution." I love this one because if we focus on the problem, we're always unhappy. We're always miserable. We're always going to see the negatives versus just focus on the solution, because whatever problem's coming, you're still going to have to figure out a solution.
Yes, that is a great quote, and from a guy who's a Hall of Fame basketball player as well. This is a gentleman
who made mistakes. He talks about his financial mistakes, made big ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's Shaq. Shaq is one of my favorite athletes, celebrities. I love the fact he does all these quirky commercials too, by the way.
He doesn't
Here's
take
a guy
himself too seriously anymore, for sure.
Yeah, he's over 7 feet tall and weighs 300 pounds. I saw him in Vegas one time. He's a very large and intimidating human being, but he seems to be playful. He loves to, he enjoys who he is. And I do think there's a lot of wisdom in what he's talking about here, where if we focus too much on the problem or what, now that doesn't mean we can't look at what caused the problem, but we don't want to obsess with the problem. We want to look at, okay, this happened. How do we get from A to B? And that's really where we want to look at how we can fix a problem. It's very frustrating for an advisor when a client comes to us with a problem. We do provide them with a solution, and they go circling back to, well, this old problem is I can't fix that. And I'm like, well, we just told you how to fix that. Right. And that happens sometimes. Focus on the solution. Focus on what we can do to improve it. And kind of like I was saying a minute ago, we just focus on incremental improvements that will get us there. But I don't agree with obsessing over the past. I heard a football coach, I don't remember who it was. I want to say it's Dabo Swinney or something like that from Clemson, saying you can't hope for a better yesterday. No. It happened. It's over with. You can't hope that it was better yesterday. So you got to take where you're at today and move forward. And that's the only way you can do things. So that's why we have to focus on the solutions, focus on where we're headed instead of obsessing or getting frustrated even about the past.
You know, I like what you just said there a second ago, too, when you said that you point some things out to clients and sometimes they're like, I can't fix that or whatever. Go back to that top quote, I'm my own worst enemy, and I know that, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, maybe some of those folks need to kind of go back and look at the fact that they know they're blocking something. Work on that. Work on how to move yourself through that.
How to let go a little bit. It's hard. I know it is. I do get it.
John has a couple of free books, Diffuse and Tax-Free Retirement in California, that reveal exactly how you can experience zero taxes in retirement and overcome the IRS lien on your 401k, IRA, and 403b, which could threaten your future lifestyle. These are complimentary, so all you have to do to pick these up 100% free is just stop by rescuemyretirement.net. That's rescuemyretirement.net. Fill in the basic info and he'll ship those out to you immediately. That's rescuemyretirement.net for a copy of Diffuse and Tax-Free Retirement in California. All right, that's going to do it this week here for the podcast, Red Zone Retirement Program, Simple Investing, Smart Future with Coach John Mears. Thought we'd have a little fun with some of these celebrity quotes and whatnot, but you can take some, you can take some wisdom from a lot of stuff. And I think, it was a great kind of succinct way to wrap it up saying, hey, look, if you're your own worst enemy and you know that, start working on that by getting a coach to help you through that process. And of course, we just had some information up there for you. But as always, check the show notes for ways to get in touch with John and get yourself onto his calendar. We've had stuff popping up on the screen, but you can go to bookachatwithjohn.net if you'd like to talk to him and get started today at bookachatwithjohn.net. But do us a favor, hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button there on YouTube, ring the notification bell so you catch new episodes when they come out, and that way hopefully you can learn some useful nuggets along the way. As always, we appreciate your time, Coach. Thanks for hanging out here, and no up downs today.
No, not today, but I'll keep an eye on you guys.
All right, keep an eye on us. We'll see you next time here on Red Zone Retirement Program, Simple Investing, Smart Future with Coach John Mears.
Advisory services offered through Mears Money Management, Inc., an RIA registered in the states of California and Texas. California Department of Insurance License number 0685203.